full tummy sniff for happy babies.
So this is part 4 of the timeline up to the raid on our licensed wildlife center. So I want to go back again to the inspection in May, and then about a week after that. So I came across evidence against the rehabber who had been harassing us, Sarah Heckathorn. She was posting on her social media that she was breaking regulations. I mean, there was 5 years worth of evidence of her breaking major regulations. And I'm going to attach those videos. Those were some of the videos that were at the beginning of this video, was her dog and her raccoon. So if you look at that, you can see her German Shepherd goes in and touches nose with one of the raccoons. And you can obviously tell by their behavior that they are both, the dog's used to being raccoons are used to being around the dog. And if you look through her videos through the past 5 years, you can see her domestic cat around bobcats, her dog around bobcats. She's basically just letting her domestic pets around wildlife. Now, wildlife rehabbers are cringing right now. They know how bad this is, but the general public probably doesn't. So I'm going to explain why this is so detrimental to the animals that she's rehabbing. And other than it's against standards, for one. You're not allowed to have your domestics interact with your wildlife patients. You're trying to get them back to go to the wild. You're not trying to habituate them at all. You're not trying to get them used to pets in any capacity. But the big reason that this is really awful and detrimental to these raccoons is, what does a German Shepherd and what does a dog resemble? We are in Colorado. We have coyotes. We have wolves now. Wildlife do not differentiate, oh, this is a domestic dog, this is a wolf, this is a coyote. They see them all as predators that could possibly hurt them. Now, if you're raising baby raccoons to say that the giant German Shepherd, which of all dogs a German Shepherd, is going to resemble a larger wild canine compared to a Chihuahua, of course, they're going to go into the wild and they are going to get eaten and killed by coyotes and wolves. That's the simple fact of it. It is. And on top of that, half of the reason that we get in raccoons is because their mom or their siblings are killed by dogs, domestic dogs. Now, I'm not trying to villainize dogs in any way. Usually when this happens, it's because a mom raccoon has made a nest in a yard and she's trying to defend her babies. The dog's trying to defend its yard. And, it's just a really unfortunate situation that we unfortunately deal with a lot. And so these raccoons need to know that dogs are scary and dangerous and they need to stay away from them. And teaching them from the time that they're little babies that a dog is friendly is extremely detrimental to their wildlife rehabilitation. It's horribly detrimental. Okay, so we had 5 years worth of evidence going back on Sarah Heckathorn. We had videos dated back to 2020 of her domestic cat next to her bobcat, her dog next to her bobcats. These are videos that she posted on her own page. And also her having wildlife in her living room with carpet instead of wildlife. I mean, just multiple things, but that was like the worst thing. And there's all video evidence of this, right? So Sarah Heckathorn's been a rehabber about 30 years, about the same time that special licensing Eric Slater's been in his position. I turned all this evidence in around on May 30th. This was a week after we were reported for the foxes, after all this harassment and everything. And within a few hours after we turned in all this evidence on Sarah to Eric Slater to be investigated, Sarah Heckathorn called my previous sponsor for small mammals and told her I was losing my license. So did maybe Eric call Sarah? Is there I don't know. It just, how could she know that was going to happen 2 months before it happened unless there's corruption? She's a wildlife rehabber. And they told me I couldn't know anything about the investigation on her, so why'd she know about us? And on top of that, she's still licensed and taking animals and everything. Per CPW's own regulation, the violations that she had, that we had video proof of, would require an immediate suspension or revocation of her license. But she is still fully operating, and I bet you she got our foxes. Because I believe this is what this was all about. Now, I also want to go back to the day of the raid. So the day of the raid, when Philip came in and he said it had nothing to do with the rehabbers, I knew it was a raid because I could tell by the amount of officers. But I kept asking Philip, I kept asking him, what's going on? What's going on? Can you please, because I knew it was a raid, and I kept saying, are you taking the animals? You taking my license? Can you just tell me? Can you please just tell me? I was begging him because they were here for hours. And he went through animal control's inspection and then their whole inspection because he just kept saying, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Philip Gurulu was so happy. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't just giggle, because he was having so much fun. This was great. This was his day. He finally got to get me, because I feel like he's had an issue with me for a long time, and he was just so overwhelmingly happy to be doing this to these animals and to me. And to not tell me what was going on, I just feel like he used that as another way to exert his power. Like, yeah, I'm not going to tell you what's going on. I'm going to sit and torture you and let you have anxiety and let you wonder and let you be miserable and wonder what's really going to happen. Because they could have just come in and say, you know what, we're raiding you, we're taking the animals, this is what's going to happen, this is what's it. But he wouldn't even tell me what was going on. And what I think is funny now, this is really important, CPW is saying this was not a raid. They are saying this was not a raid on our wildlife center. They are saying that they gave us a written inspection, a written notice of issues in May, and that we just sat and did nothing for 2 months, and that this was a reinspection that we failed. That is what they are going with. That is seriously what they are going with, even though we were never given written paperwork in May. And a week after Philip Gurulu, a week after the raid on July 27th, about 9 days later when he came back, I asked him why we had never been given a written warning, and he just said, that's a good question. I don't have to, and there is no official written warning. But in the suspension report that we just got on our license, in September, it says that we were given a written warning and that there were 2 written warnings. And so I asked special licensing for these written warnings, and I asked why we'd never been given them, and they didn't answer why we hadn't been given them, but they did give me the warnings. And what I find is interesting is they're all typed up by a computer. None of them are handwritten like they're supposed to be, and they don't have a signature from our DWM, which is required. Really? There will be evidence on CPW's body cam that Philip Gurulu was standing in my living room with 3 other officers and said that there was no written warning and that they didn't have to give us one. And there will be evidence on this. There will be. It's undeniable proof on their body cam that he said this. But now there's paperwork. Now there's paperwork. Other than them, in my opinion, just flat out lying and forging paperwork to try to get us criminal charges, CPW's own regulations state that if they give you a written notice, written issues, you're supposed to stop taking in wildlife until those issues are corrected, have a date due by when it's corrected, and if you have a sponsor, they're supposed to be told about all of this. But we were still continued, again, we were still taking patients in up until the day that they raided. Colorado Parks and Wildlife violated their own regulations. They broke due process to do this to us.